Assalamu alaikum my friends, how's it going? Welcome back on the Linux series. Today's video we're going to be talking about logging. What is actually logging messages on the Linux system, what's used for, and how can we actually make something interactive with it. Okay, so to get started I'm going to be changing first my directories to /var/log. This is where the Linux distributions save their log files by default. So let's actually print the files and folders that we have right here. And you can see not every file ends with the .log extension, and even some of them, despite they end with the .log extension, they have an extension afterwards. So first, before I actually explain the log files, and I'm not going to be going over all the files, of course, because they are for different purposes. I'm going to go over the most popular ones, and also I'm going to be explaining the numbering that you can see here, because these are 4 log files and they all have the same name, but they have an extension at the end. So to explain this, I'm just gonna do simple thing. I'm just gonna print the first content of this file and the last content of this file. So let's do so. So I'm gonna be using head. So I'm gonna print, let's say, the first 10 lines of auth.log. And what I want you to pay attention on is the date right here. So look at this date, which is at the 23rd of November and 16:00. So let's now do the same thing, but instead of head, let's use tail and use that one. So now this is going to be the last content of the previous file. And if you print, you can see it's actually kind of the same time. So actually, you can see we can concatenate these two files together, right? So this is actually why we have numbering. Numbering here is just an old auth.log file. So each file has, you can say, life period. It has some specific number of days that it logs, or specific number of messages that it logs. Afterwards, it gets old and it appends, as you can see here, .1, and a new auth file or a new log file has been created. So this is the same for the auth.log, for the dmessage log, for the syslog. It's the same for all of them. Okay, so the idea of just numbering is the same in all log files. I just wanted to explain why we have them, why we have numbering right here. Okay, so now let's actually go over some of these files. So this is clear. Actually, the first file we're going to be going over is going to be the auth.log. So let's actually take the content of this file. I'm going to be using the flag to follow. So whenever this file's content is changed, whenever we print new lines to it, the stdout is going to print it to our terminal also. So the file is auth.log, and hit enter. So this file is actually related with the user's authentication and connecting and disconnecting to the machine. So to show you a live example with the content of this file changing, I'm going to be SSHing to the server. So right now what's going to happen when I hit enter is you can see new log messages has been printed, but let's just make it like this. Oops, I want to leave some space to show you the messages that actually gets printed. So yeah, like this. So this is actually the message is printed when I connect it. So we're seeing that user from this IP address. This is the port running, the SSH port on my machine, and I've been using this public key to connect to the machine, and I was connecting to user Ahmed. The session has been opened by the root user. Okay, so and the same when you disconnect. So let's now disconnect. The same thing, it's showing us the disconnection of the specific user from this port, and what's the username? Yeah, the user Ahmed has been disconnected, and so on. So even, for example, let's actually try to connect to the server again, and I want to show you something else. So let's actually do sudo echo hello. It asks for the password. I hit enter, and as you can see, also when you use the sudo command, because actually using sudo is actually changing a user for a specific command and coming back. So this also is counted as authentication. So you can also track which users have been trying to connect or have been trying to use the root user. And for example, let's actually show an example. Actually, I've already used sudo. Let's just disconnect, connect again. And now I'm going to be using sudo, but I'm going to actually especially hit the wrong password each time. You can see that authentication failure. So even when the authentication didn't pass, this also is going to be printed, right? So you can just play with this file a lot, so it's actually useful. And this actually was the first file in our journey today. So let's just close this. And the second file we're going to be going over is the syslog file. So tail follow, and it's called syslog. Syslog is usually for the default messages of the system. So actually, to show you something cool in this file, we're going to be using it later on in the video, but I want to show you something right now, which is I'm going to connect a flash drive to the Ubuntu machine, and it's going to show the recognition of this flash drive right here. So it's going to print like log messages. So for this, you need to actually go on the server, hit settings, and here click on USB. Probably right here you will have USB.1 chosen by default, but you can just change it to USB 2. If you can change it, you can just turn off the machine and change it. And also when you try to add drive, like add a flash drive like I'm gonna do right now, by default you will get an error usually, and it will print here like unable to connect the USB or something like this. So I'm not going to be going over how to fix this. I'm just going to be leaving links down the description below, one for Linux users and the other for Windows, of how to fix this problem if you actually got stuck with it, right? So for now, I'm just going to connect the flash drive, and now hit the plus button, and actually this is my flash drive right here, so it's the Kingston. Hit enter. Now come back here. Actually it didn't get printed. Probably I've been changing the wrong file probably. So let's tail F. So well, it's probably the message then. Let's disconnect it, connect it again. It's actually weird, this is not working. So let's just take the previous file again, session user. So let's just make sure. I didn't actually hit OK. Nothing changed probably. Now let's connect it again. Yeah, now it works. So I just didn't hit OK right here. So yeah, as you can see now, it recognized this USB. Where's the name of it? So actually it's the manufacturer type of Kingston. It's a Kingston flash drive, and I don't see the name, but right now what you see is actually recognizing the Ubuntu machine, recognizing that a new disk has been connected to the machine, right? And when I even disconnect it right here, so let's just disconnect it like this. As you can see, it's also disconnected. So using these log messages, you can actually debug whether a specific hard drive is being recognized by the system, or it's being mounted by the system, and so on. Okay, so this is actually a cool thing that you might use to debug running services and so on. Okay, so one more file that I want to be talking about, which is not all the time useful, but if you're not running servers, if you're just using Ubuntu normally, you won't be using this. So it's actually the Apache files. So let's actually just print the contents. So tail, it's actually at the Apache directory, and here we have 3 files. Actually, yeah, as you can see, by default there are these 3 files, but these 2 files have been created because the time period, the life period of these 2 files has exceeded. So for example, the access log, access log actually doesn't have a new content because actually it's a new file. So let's actually log the previous one. So this also can be helpful if you have an Apache server running. You can just debug the log access messages or the error messages. So error.1, and this can be useful for debugging. Okay, but one last thing that I want to also mention about logging right here is that we have many log files, and it's kind of difficult to find a specific log message that you want to, for example, search that a specific service is not running, or search for a specific log message that has been printed. So instead of just searching for this log message in a specific file, and you have like to use cat and you make some string operations to find it, we have an already tool that has actually been made to ease this process. And this tool is, let's just change the directory here, it's called Journalctl. And this tool right here, it has a lot of options, as you can see. Let's just hit enter. Why? So as you can see, it has a lot of commands right here that you can use. So I actually forget sometimes how this one works, but anyway, you can actually read the manual for more information. So Journalctl, journalctl, and here you have all the options that you might use. For now, I'm just going to be going over one simple option, which is the I'm going to filter by services. So I'm going to make underscore system, and let's actually see what's there. So I'm going to be using system unit right here. So system unit, and for example, let's say I'm going to be searching for journal, like journal d.service. So actually I made a typo probably somewhere here. Well, let's just try another typo name. So Apache 2.service, and as you can see, this only logs the messages related to the Apache running service, and you can use this system unit to filter all the log messages that are being logged to a specific unit, just for this unit's messages related to this unit only. And you can also scroll down. It has like a lot of log messages right here. This can be come in handy if you are searching for a specific error that had occurred like a while ago, or you're like debugging servers and so on. So yeah, actually this is the last thing we're going to be talking about in this video, and it's the coolest thing, which is log forwarding. Why do you actually need to forward log messages? So let's assume the following scenario: you have many servers, okay, and you want to actually see the status, let's say, of the Apache server on each one of them. So you have, like, let's say 10 servers, and you actually have to SSH to each server, and you have like to do whatever, like Journalctl, and filter with the Apache services and check the log messages to make sure that no errors occurred recently, and just check the that the system is working and like everything is fine. So if you have many servers, this process is just gonna be so painful. It's gonna take a lot of time, and it's just gonna be difficult because we know like many IP addresses, many machines, and it's just gonna make the process harder. So right now I'm gonna be doing server forward messages from the server right here to the client machine right here, and for this I'm gonna be using the rsyslog.conf file, and I'm just gonna be setting it up, and that's it. So let's actually now get what I just said done. So the first thing, let's actually start with the client machine. So let's actually store this file, so which is at etc rsyslog.conf, and hit enter. So what you need to change is first allow the reception of the request. So a server is gonna forward some requests to the client machine, and you should be like listening to this port to receive these requests. So I'm gonna be using the TCP right here. You can also enable UDP if you want, but I'm just gonna be using the TCP connection only, and hit save. And now one more thing that you should do is actually this was just allowing the rsys to listen to this port, but the machine itself is actually blocking any requests sent to this. So to allow this, I'm going to be using the firewall utility to change this, and I'm going to be typing allow, and the port number is 514, and the connection type is TCP. Now hit enter, and as you can see, the rules has been updated. Now let's actually go to the machine right here, to the server machine, and do the same thing with the rsyslog file. It's at etc, and here we need nano. So rsyslog.conf. So it's actually the same file, but the thing that I want to add right here is that I'm gonna type this, and I'm gonna explain also what is this. So what each log messages has the following two, you can see like two variables or two attributes. The first thing is the facility that's actually logging the message, which is Apache or whatever service that's running. It has like its own facility name. So as example, as I said, it's Apache, and the right star right here is actually matches all the facilities. So any log messages that gets printed. And the second one matches any difficulty, because not any difficulty, I mean any severity, because logging the messages has different severities. So let's actually open Firefox. I'm just going to show you a quick example of the severities. So let's say Linux system or Linux log severity. It's actually not correct. Let's just correct it. Let's actually see severity levels right here. And let's just scroll down somewhere. So yeah, actually here are the there are 8. So these are the emergency is the highest severity and debug is the lowest. So if you want to specify a specific debug level that you want to receive from the server that you want to actually send to the client or to the different hosts, you can specify it here. But for this video, I'm just going to be adding a star to match all the severity levels and all the facility levels. And right now, what I'm going to be adding is where to forward this. So to forward this, I'm just going to be typing to add. If you're using UDP connection to send the request, use 1. And right here, you specify the IP address that you want to send to. So I don't remember the IP address, so it's B-4, like 4 option. And the IP address is this one right here. So I'm just going to type 108.168.0.113 and hit enter. Also, by the way, you can make it as a useful practice is right here at the VirtualBox. You can go to settings, network, and you can add actually a connection host only adapter. Let's actually add it for the sake of just explaining this tool. So I'm going to be sending these requests between these 2 machines only. So I'm going to hit OK for this one. And settings, the second one. Let's go to the adapter, host only. Of course, make sure that they are on the same host only adapter, and now hit enter. And now actually I need to reboot both machines so that the IP address gets installed. So just fast forward. So yeah, welcome back. Now the machines have booted up. Now I'm just going to print the IP address that we're going to be using. So it's going to be this one. And on the client machine, on the server machine, we have this following IP address. But we only need to actually specify the IP address on the server machine right here, because we need to specify the IP address of the client machine, but on the server machine, because we're going to be forwarding from the server, right? So now let's sudo nano the etc rsyslog.conf. And right here, actually this also works, but I'm going to changing it to the IP address, which is 192.168.2.6. So 52.6, and hit enter, close this. And now what I should do is actually restart the rsyslog service. So I'm going to be just typing sudo. Actually, before forwarding this, let's actually restart the client before the server, because the server, once it restarts, it tries to send these slug messages to the server, and if the server is not running or it's not prepared, it might give some errors. So I'm just going to be restarting the service on the client first. So systemctl so yeah, rsyslog service. Now, just to make sure that everything is working, I'm just going to print the status, and yeah, everything is cool. Doing the same thing here. So sudo systemctl restart rsyslog.service, and yeah, everything is cool. Now, to print, just to show an example of how this should work, let's just clear this, and now I'm going to tell the following file. So let's just change the directory to /var/log. I'm going to be tailing the which file is actually going to be the syslog file, yeah, because these are just default messages, right? So I'm just do some lines right here and go over here and make logger. Logger is just a utility or a command that helps you log a message. Okay, so I'm just going to be logging hello from server, hit enter. And as you can see, the message got printed right here on the client side. But one more thing that I recommend you add is that not logging all the messages in this specific file or like on this log itself, because if you have, like, as I said, many servers and all of them are just gonna log in your log files, and like in the, for example, this message has been received and logged in the following file, this is not gonna be convenient. Why is that? Because all the messages are going to get mixed together, and it's going to be difficult to know which message relates, or like which message is related to this server. So for this, I'm going to be creating a directory for each server that sends requests. So to do so, just close this, and also edit the file right here, which is at rsyslog.conf. And right here, right before the modules, I'm going to be creating a template. So a template is just create like this template, and I'm gonna call this, let's say, like remote logs. And right here I'm gonna specify the path that it's gonna be created for the hosts that are sending the request. So I'm gonna be creating it at var log, and here instead of just creating a static name, I'm just gonna be creating a changeable name for each host. So actually here we have on the rsyslog service, it has a variable, an environment variable, which is actually host name. So like host name, which actually prints the name of the service that's actually sending the requests. So for this, I'm going to be using it to create a directory for each server that is sending the request, and I'm going to call this, let's say, like server.log. So this is the file where we're going to be saving the changes. So yeah, everything looks correct. The second thing is what I'm going to be saving in this file. So just for simplicity, I'm just going to be saving everything, and where to save it is this at remote.server if it exists. So logs, and like this. Now let's just close it, restart the server, and now probably if we look at the status, we're going to find an error because it can't actually connect to the service because I've restarted it. So let's just restart this one also. Now let's see the status. And as you can see, now everything is working fine. So before I actually send a request, I'm gonna just do the following command, which is ls. Let's actually search here for server right here, and as you can see, yeah, it exists because I've just restarted the server with this, which actually printed like messages. So if you actually take the content of this server, actually it's, yeah, this file actually needs sudo to actually do this. So instead of actually, yeah, we need sudo because it has different permissions on it. So the file was called server.log. So one second, of these messages, yeah, as you can see, it's restarting the log service, and this actually was tail. Let's just change the super user to because I actually didn't use follow. Let's just use follow instead of just changing the user. So yeah, now that's easier. Now let's go right here and make another log message. So logger hello from Russia. Hit enter, and yeah, as you can see, it has also been printed right here. So yeah, that's actually how to make a directory for each server that's sending log messages. So that's all for this video, guys. I wish you liked it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments down below, and thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.